What a heavy question. This video's purpose is not to sway any people's ideas and thoughts on the topic I'm going to bring up, just wanted to get my view across of what Genshin community looks like from the logical person's viewpoint. So onto the question at hand. Why shouldn't Mihoyo release the rest of the archons as playable characters? In this video, just to be fair, I'll tell you guys why they should and why they shouldn't just stop releasing the archons as playable characters. Firstly, I'll talk about why they should make them and release them as playable characters, and so let's jump on to reason 1. They are cool. Literally, they are badass characters. The reveal of Zhongli being the Archon during the Liyue story quest back at the launch of the game, and now with the Raiden Shogun quote-unquote executing Signora, is just a badass thing to happen and brings so much hype to the game. The general idea of playing a god in regards to lore as a playable character is usually dismissed when you look at most open world RPGs. You're usually in the body of some random guy who just so happens to be the chosen one, and it's kind of this rehash of chosen one after chosen one, and it gets stale, so the game has to rely on gameplay to be one of its major selling points. But for Genshin, having just a god as an acquirable and playable character is extremely enticing in terms of monetization and player interest. Though I do realize that this is only half applicable to Genshin Impact, seeing as there isn't just one character you can play as it is a gacha / character collection game. Moving on to reason 2 as to why they should allow the archons to be playable characters in the future. The game's story is currently following Aether as he looks for Lumine or vice versa, but a quest that's currently going parallel with the main quest is the kind of Fatui Harbinger quest, where there's Fatui Harbingers all over the world of Teyvat collecting the Archon's Gnosis and bringing it to the Tsaritsa. Now, why do I mention this? Now, from my understanding, the Archons losing their Gnosis is Mihoyo's way of saying this character is no longer a full god and can be seen either as a demigod or something along those lines. And going further, this is the reason the character is acquirable and playable, because they have quote-unquote lost their godly powers. This might not be 100% what happens. For all I know, Zhongli, Venti, and Baal could still, lore-wise, have 100% of their power, and the Gnosis means absolutely nothing, but I believe this is Mihoyo's method of saying they are no longer gods, they are now just normal people with elemental powers. These are just 2 reasons I could make a bit of a spiel about. Reason 1 being that the characters will just bring massive hype, money, and excitement to the game. Baal currently being the highest grossing banner in a 2-day release period out of all banners, including reruns, and that's mainly because she had so much hype and build up to her character. And reason 2 is it would make sense with past events, but for all I know, they could just say that the next 4 Archons lose their Gnosis and just don't want to join your team. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. Now onto why they shouldn't release the next 4 Archons as playable characters, and for this one there is one massive point I'm going to talk about instead of multiple different ones. And the main focal point is that the community for the most part has been moderately, what's the word I'm looking for here? The community has been kind of dumb when it comes to picking apart Baal and her potential power, and here's what I mean. 1 to 2 days into her release, I read and heard a lot of stuff about how she's a weak character or very underwhelming, which baffled me because I was having such a good experience with her. Looking further into it, people didn't like that she couldn't do insane damage, or she messed up their team synergy by providing too much energy, or she didn't work with certain characters. Now, out of those 3 points I just mentioned, only one is actually valid. Let's break down all 3 of those points. No, Baal can't do insane damage. Reason? She's Electro. It's Electro. It just sucks. It's bad. It's a terrible element, not Baal herself. Electro is just the worst element in the game. So comparing Baal to characters like Hu Tao or Tartaglia or even Ayaka and Yoimiya isn't valid because she is Electro, whilst the other characters are useful elements. Literally no one actually knows what Electro does. It's just like, obviously it has good reactions with Cryo, or it has good reaction with Hydro, but generally it doesn't do much by itself. And as well as the resonance, the Electro resonance, I didn't know what it did until I looked it up to make this video, and it doesn't actually do anything. It just gives you more Electro elemental particles. That's pretty garbage. When people complained about her damage being low, I was just shocked because they thought it was Baal, but it's actually her element that sucks. It is just Electro. So to fix, Mihoyo just needs to rework Electro to either be pure damage or pure support. It's either or is okay. If you go with the pure damage route, you're just making either Pyro or Cryo. And if you go down the pure support, you can be a bit more creative with attack speed or something like that. But the whole Electro topic is a topic for a different video. I'll probably make a video eventually about the whole Electro topic and things that Mihoyo can actually do to possibly make it a usable element by itself and when synergized with every other element. Another thing I heard was people saying that she should have higher damage because she is an archon. And here's my take on that. When you look at Genshin as a game, no, she should have no higher damage because she is just another 5-star character in the pool of many other 5-star characters. She can get high damage if you combo her with correct characters like Bennett, Mona, Kazuha, Sucrose, stuff like that. When you combo her correctly, she can do monstrous damage. Maybe not the 2 million damage that Hu Tao was able to achieve, but nonetheless she can still achieve godly damage. But when you look at Genshin as an anime or a story-based game, then her damage is some of the highest because story-wise / lore-wise, I don't think Bennett, Mona, or Kazuha are buffing her damage or anyone else's damage as a matter of fact. So this point is just kind of redundant and dumb. Second point was that she provides too much energy and messes up people's rotation. I don't even understand what that even means in actual sense. Like, really, I don't. I never thought I'd hear someone say that they are receiving too much energy. It was really just shocking to hear that. This is obviously a subjective point. You can never have too much energy, so I'm just disregarding this whole kind of argument. And the third point was that she just doesn't work with certain characters. Now this is 100%, maybe even 1000% understandable, and I couldn't agree more that it should have been by now, or at least before the Baal banner leaves, that they fix this. So here's the issue at hand. On screen, you see 3 different characters' elemental bursts. Left is Xingqiu, middle is the Electro Traveler, and right is Beidou. Looking at how all these work, Xingqiu's elemental burst says your active character's normal attacks will trigger. Electro Traveler says when your active character's normal or charge attack hits opponent, and Beidou says when normal and charge attacks hit. And so what this is all implying is that when you pop their elemental burst, whenever a character does anything mentioned, so when the active character does a normal attack, or when an active character does a normal or charge attack, or when a character just attacks, they will do the, aforementioned thing. So Xingqiu, if you pop his Q and you attack, he'll send out a sword. Electro Traveler attack, he'll send out a lightning shock, and Beidou will do this very similar thing of sending out one of her chain lightning balls. But even though all 3 of these have very similar, if not identical wording, only Xingqiu's elemental burst will trigger when Baal is attacking in her own elemental burst. To me, this is a fundamental problem with the game. There is absolutely no reason as to why the 2 Electro characters that have an on-hit effect in their elemental burst shouldn't synergize with Baal's burst. Now let's jump into a hypothetical. You want to use Baal as main DPS and have Electro Traveler, Beidou, and Xingqiu as sub DPS. Your massive DPS opener sequence is like this. Xingqiu's skill then burst, followed by Beidou's skill then burst, Electro Traveler skill then burst, and then finally Baal's skill and burst. This sequence would give Baal max resolve pretty much, and all her attacks would cause Xingqiu's sword, Traveler's lightning, and Beidou's Electro Dragon things to hit the opponent. In this hypothetical, this is not even a broken team. Like, I'd understand if this had the potential to break the game's numbers and cause shit to be broken, but it legit wouldn't even do that. So to this day, I can't understand why Baal specifically disables Beidou and Traveler's burst from working with her. To me, it's just unreasonable. Personally, I believe that this shouldn't be in the game, but I can also kind of see why. Possibly maybe because it's Raiden Shogun, she just disables other Electro ults or something like that. Or it's because, it's too much electricity. I don't know, maybe. Even like this is just a tiny shred of reasonability, but still, I don't buy it, I don't believe it, but whatever. I do believe that this should be fixed before she leaves, like her banner leaves, purely because if it doesn't get fixed before her banner leaves and then she leaves and then it get fixed, the reappearance of her banner is going to be so far away that people are just going to forget that she's really like a character that someone would want. And then, she just kind of goes into the back burner. But this is just my hot take on this whole kind of Baal system going on, or kind of like the whole Baal controversy going on. And I just thought I'd bring up the topic of like, maybe Mihoyo should or shouldn't stop releasing archons, because the community did kind of tear apart the devs for very few reasons that were actually valid. It's really only the synergy between the characters that doesn't make any sense to be complained about. Everything else that people complain about, Baal being weak, or her giving too much of this, or her not being able to do that, completely unreasonable, and I feel sorry for the devs, especially in this case. Now that poses the final question: should Mihoyo stop releasing the archons as playable characters for the foreseeable future? Should the Sumeru archon be like, listen, I don't want to hang out with you? Should any of the future archons just be like, yo, nah, I'm not a part of this team, I'm not standing what you're talking? And the answer depends. I wouldn't be surprised if they just did stop releasing the archons, because getting this much kind of hate just for no reason because you released a character, and then people complaining that they're too offensive or too supportive or they're not what they want on their team, it's just unreasonable. It's like complaining that you ordered a chicken schnitty and it came back to you as a chicken schnitty, but that chicken's not from like where you want it to be grown from. And it's like, well, that was never guaranteed or promised in any way. It's like ordering a Mars bar, but it's not from Mars. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just weird to, you know, expect certain things. So I definitely 100%. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just stop releasing the archons. I don't want them to personally. I would love to have all the archons on like 2 separate teams with like the Traveler or Dainsleif or something like that. But in the end, wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, this video is just to bring light to the topic. I feel the community needs to relax. The game has zero competitiveness or zero competitive scene. If your argument for there being a competitive scene is that you like testing your own damage or competing against your friends to see who can do more damage, then your reason is literally just completely subjective and needs no further follow-up. But that pretty much is it for this video. Just wanted to give my thoughts on the Baal controversy and my opinions on the whole situation. I hope you guys understand what I meant by all this. If you liked the video, hit that like button, and also if you didn't like that video, dislike it, and also leave a comment on what I could do to improve. If you want to see more daily Genshin Impact content by me, then hit that subscribe button. Have an amazing day, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.